Oh, Jody, the race for $1 million has come to New York City, and it is without doubt going to be the most intense and exciting so far. Edge of the seat action, guaranteed.
This racetrack is so small and the wind is all over the place. We've been watching the lead up to this race come on. The boats are having all sorts of dramas, just trying to work out the racetrack, work out where the wind's going to come through the Jersey side. It's just hitting the water and exploding. We've got 25 seconds to go, and it looks like there's no wind in the box, but out wide there's plenty on.
I mean, how do you judge your time and distance? Electronics are useless. It's real seat of the pants sailing here.
And look here, we've got Australia. Tommy Slingsby's trying to get that pin end. He's going for a bit of a ride. Japan is in the middle. Everyone's a little bit tentative because they just know what they're about to go out to in the middle of this course. Looks like Australia might get the whole shot, and we are off and racing. Japan in the middle, France, a nice job up the top. China not foiling, USA not foiling. USA have got a new wing trimmer, so they've got a little bit on. Australia, nice job there, off and running. Here's the battle already between Australia and Japan.
Look at the wind difference, Jody. I mean, Australia just came a cropper there. They hit a massive punch of wind.
You can see there in the on the screen, there's no wind where Australia are. Japan have been lucky here. They've been able to go through and keep foiling, and then it looks like they're going to get to this first mark in first place. France are nearly going to go over. They need to save that. Very close moment there for Team France. What's happening is the wind is coming over the shore and literally exploding on the top of these guys' wings, and they cannot even see the wind hit them. So they're almost sailing blind. It is very, very sketchy out here, that's for sure. USA coming into third spot. China into fourth. France look like they've not coming out the spot. They might have done something wrong. But just coming on a replay here, you see Japan coming along. And they're trying to get through around this mark. You look at Australia in behind them there. Japan jibing off early. And it is just this breeze everywhere. We've got still Japan leading the race, Australia coming over to the right-hand side. If you notice that the bottom mark is very, very close to the city side, so they've had a lot of dramas trying to set up where they're going to do this race, Shirley.
I mean, we can see on the helicopter shot, we can see the dark patches, the big puffs of breeze that are coming over those buildings in New Jersey and hitting the boats. And
it looks like Japan have done the best job in linking up this wind because they're coming down to the bottom mark. Very, very short course, half a nautical mile from the bottom mark to the top. And it's Japan going in to the bottom mark in first place, followed very closely by Australia, who, interestingly enough, are going to go into that left-hand side where it's very, very short over to the boundary. So China coming in third. Nice job there with Phil Robertson and his boys. They need a bit of redemption out of San Fran, that's for sure.
Massive difference in pressure from 5 knots to 30 knots. We've seen everything out on this racetrack today.
And what they were saying in the lead up to all this was if they can go to the left-hand side, it's almost one leg up to the top because it's so, the breeze just coming out and just exploding on the racetrack. So it'll be interesting to see if Japan can go all the way to the top. Poor old America, they are stuck in the middle of the course with no breeze and really struggling to get back down to this bottom end.
Of course, Jody, difficult build-up today for the Americans. They lost their vital, their throttle man, the guy who controls the wing, out injured. Got someone brand new in, the shore manager. So really, the hardest conditions for him.
Just trying to learn how to sail these boats in absolutely sketchy conditions. And they look like they are just sitting it down. Who knows, they might decide to pull out of it. They're actually going upwind by the sounds of the onboard. We might just stick with them if we can hear them. Yeah, it sounds like they're not going to maybe continue in this race. We'll soon see. Australia have tacked off the New York City side of the course and come back into. We're going to listen on board with Australia here.
Kyle Langford doing all the talking. He is in charge of performance, of keeping the boat going in the best mode possible.
And have a look at the lead change here. Australia have got something off that New York side, and Japan, who tacked over off the right-hand boundary, have got nothing. Just as we said that, Australia have flattened out, and it will be Japan's turn to get this breeze.
But Jody, it is never over. And for the sailing fans at home watching this, do not go away. Anything can happen here in New York City.
These boats, 25 metres apart. One's doing 27 knots, the other's doing 5 knots. That's how gusty it is here in this racetrack. Australia, who was second at the bottom mark, have now got a 100-metre lead within no time of their nearest rival in Japan, and Australia look like they're going to the left-hand top mark, and then they've got no run out from the top mark down to the boundary. It's very, very close, so they need to get out of here as quick as they can.
You know, Tom Slingsby did well there. He strung together the puffs, which has got to be the ideal here, and of course much confidence in his team, can sail in any condition.
And have a look at that. Japan are in absolutely nothing. They cannot foil, they're hardly moving. Meanwhile, Australia are heading downhill, probably about 25 to 30 knots on what at this stage could be a quite comfortable lead, because no one else seems to be in breath. And there we are, Australia just absolutely flying straight down the course in what looks like a really nice puff there, Shirley.
So we're probably going to go left turn. Hard gust here, chopper puff with it. And let's stand by. I'm going to take it pretty safe here. Coming.
And you heard there the comms. We'll just stay trying to listen to the guys as they go through this jibe.
Turn there. Let us know about the lock, Langers.
They're keeping it safe, Jody, aren't they? Because you cannot see these puffs, and they've got huge intensity.
And here we go. The Chinese and Japanese have finally made it back up to this top mark. They're only 150 metres away, but they're absolutely drifting up here. And it almost looks like they're on separate tacks. One breeze is coming from the left, one breeze looks like it's almost coming from the right. Japan have got no wind at all. China trying to tack in around that left-hand top gate.
I think we may well see the Japanese go for that right-hand gate and just to avoid another jibe.
And China around, they need to get out of there. Good work by Phil Robertson. He didn't have a very good race down in San Francisco, and he is absolutely up for a redemption. Australia are down around that bottom mark and heading back up the top for the second time with a nice lead, almost a full leg ahead, Shirley.
Phil Robertson, match racing world champion, used to sailing in this kind of, you know, cityscape, tough event, and I think this place will really play into his hands.
And look at this, Japan are over the left. They're all but just drifting out with the tide, same as China. They're in no breeze, yet you look down the bottom end of the racetrack. Australia is still, well, they've just dropped off the foils just as we were speaking, but they're in pressure. Japan now picking up wind from the left-hand side, so it was all about the right not long ago.
Nice and low, Parker.
Try and break.
Yep. Beautiful.
Okay, next out.
Slowly lifting here.
And both boats now have picked up that breeze. That was really nice comms there from on board of Japan. You just see the concentration level of Ian Jensen there, just trying to make sure that their boat stays up. They don't want to be like Great Britain and put that boat in the water, that's for sure.
You don't normally hear Nathan so much, but now there is so much going on, he's having to communicate.
And the breeze looks like it's come way out of the right-hand side all of a sudden, because Australia attacking in to head back up towards the top. Very, very close here between Japan and China coming into this bottom mark. Looks like China might have the inside running. Oh, very, very close. Who's going to get the zone first? And Japan is straight through underneath them. And Japan have taken it. And around they go, just in front of China. So that was pretty sketchy there for a while, Shirley.
It didn't matter in the end, did it? Because Nathan and the Japanese team just went round the outside with more pressure. And heading off to the New Jersey side of this racetrack with great speed.
Trying to chase down that Australian boat, who are probably almost at the top mark now. You just Nathan out, he's looking over his shoulder, seeing where China is. And there you have it, Australia up and around the top, on their way back down. A beautiful shot there of the boats just up and out. You can see how out of control they are, trying to keep these things level because the gust of winds are just coming at them and it's hitting the top of the wing. It's almost impossible for these sailors to see where this wind's coming from.
You know, keeping these boats flying and keeping them on their wheels requires a coordination of three people and the grunt of those grinders, and to coordinate that when you cannot anticipate what's going to happen next is as tough as it gets.
And you see here they're back into that left-hand no wind area. Yet Australia are coming back downwind, foiling. They're going to probably split these two boats in a jibe here. So this is their last turn down to the bottom mark for Australia. They need to go back up the top and then across in towards New York for the finish and a win for race one. But no one's going to call it yet, Shirley. There's still lots to happen on this race.
Great start, though, for the Australian team. I mean, many people said they sort of jagged that victory in San Francisco. It was handed to them because the Japanese had gear damage, but they've come out firing here and looking for that victory.
Yeah, so if they can keep this form going, they'll get the chockies after this race, but it's still got lots to go. It's good to see that the USA is still racing. France are parked up at the very top of the course in absolutely no wind as well. On board here with the Rome. We'll listen to the comms here for a while.
Right turn, yeah.
Right turn it is.
My rig or yours?
My rig, and then yours for the turn.
Okay.
Okay. We're going right turn. Says your wing on. Yep, I got him.
Well, they're having to talk through every manoeuvre. Jeff Causey standing in for Riley Gibbs.
Australia just got hit by a massive gust just as they come into the thing, and they literally slid sideways. They just hit the zone, the boat slid sideways, and I think they might have just dodged a bullet there, to be honest, Australia. That was pretty scary. You see them just trying to get up now. That's very dangerous. Bow goes right down. The flight controller, Jason Waterhouse, is having all sorts of dramas trying to keep this boat level and flat. They've got so much on these guys at the moment. Just as we talked, we said they've got the race won. They nearly seen it there. They nearly capsized. That could have been another big moment in this race.
It is all on, Jodie. You have to coordinate the steering, the flight control, the level of the platform and the wing all at the same time. And when the variables are changing so much, it's almost impossible.
France there and lots of breeze, just put the windward hull in. So what you're finding is they're controlling the boat for what they think is about 10 to 15 knots. Yet at the top of the rig, there's probably 25 to 30 knot gusts hitting them, and the boat just all of a sudden gets so out of balance and out of control. These are the best sailors in the world, and they're finding it hard. That's how sketchy these conditions are.
Good pressure out of this, Gibby. Copy. My wheel.
San Francisco, Jodie, was all about speed and accuracy, but here it's a whole different sport. This is about reactions, about keeping the boat on its feet. It's tough.
I think it's cross your fingers and hope for the best, to be perfectly honest, because who knows what this is going to throw out in this course. Phil Ropes is still pushing hard. Oh, bow goes in. That's when it all gets ugly. As soon as that bow can load up, the boat can just trip straight over the top of itself, and they have a Great Britain moment, which is not what we want to see. Japan in a beautiful bit of breeze there, getting some real big numbers coming down this bottom of the course. Yet Australia are slowly but surely working their way up. Maybe one more tack into that top, and then the big reach in towards New York for a very happy win for them guys. They'll be glad to get this one under the belt, that's for sure.
So much chat on board. We're not used to that from the guys at the front, but they have to communicate what's happening. And we heard Jason there saying, it's getting funky, it's going to get difficult.
Yeah, the guys are very, very nervous about sailing in these very, very short course, very, very tricky wind direction. And it's certainly showing from the comms on board. Straight attack there for their last time. And what they've got to be careful of here, you'll see on the screen there, there's light airs, light patches of air right on this next turner mark. 20 metres in front of that, there's 15 to 20 knots. Up above that, it could be 30. Now, this is going to be that real power zone angle coming into this finish mark. So anything could happen here, Shirley.
Okay, coming into more pressure here, boys. Okay, line patch at 2-1, and big puff on at 3-2-1. Puff on. My bailout's up. Big soft spot, boys, at 3-2-1. Hit it. Nice work, boys. And puff back on at 3-2-1. Big one here. And we're going to do a left turn at the top end of the line. Copy. Pretty steady breeze here.
Massive work for the grinders, Jodie. I mean, that wing sheet is in and out constantly.
Their shoulders will definitely be burning after this, that's for sure. Look how loose this boat is coming across into this finish line. They've got swell to contend with, they've got everything. They've got gusts of wind, and they've got the wind of this race just sitting there. They just need to get this boat through
And they've got a hard wall. They have to make a massive left-hand turn here.
You watch the bow of that boat just going up and down. Jason Waterhouse has got his work cut out. And there they go through the finish line. A very, very relieved bunch of sailors on that boat, that's for sure. They'd be loving the fact that they can now have a break and have a restock. But there's still a race to be had, and it's Japan in second doing nothing. They're not foiling at all. They are just almost drifting up into this top mark. Yet Australia went across there at Mach 2 speed. This race course is just a serious lottery at this stage. Look at China coming back. They could...
Potentially overstood here.
China could come right back here. They're in a bit of pressure. They could come back and steal a position out of France. This could be a very interesting finish here. Japan just tacking over now. They've still got one more tack. You see him just entering the zone now. Surely they've got to tack around and head into that finish. But the race is on between France, China for the third place. France now is just picking up a little bit of pressure.
Well, we just heard on the onboards of Japan that the pumps are overheating. They're adjusting everything so much. I know they're going to have to rein that in a bit.
So Japan have finally got through their last manoeuvre. You hear Nathan Outreach here talking about this pressure. We might just try and listen to this a little bit. It's interesting, Shirley, they're not as active on the chat as what the Australians were on this reach at this stage.
Big top, down at the end of the park. Big top. I think we'll be okay, Parker. Copy that.
The coordination between all the sailors, you can just see it there. They depend on everyone to do their job at 100% accuracy. 33 knots coming in. And they just struggling to foil a little bit there.
Happy just to cruise here, no stress from behind.
And you hear there from Nathan Arridge, he's happy just to get this one under the belt as well. There's some nervous sailors out there. They're just about to get a big bit of pressure. Coming in towards the finish. Australia are having their lollies and their chocolates. They're all right. They got their number in, but Japan are just going to go over the finish line now for second spot.
Nice job, guys.
So now we've got to just hope to see where this race is between France and China in for third place.
Over in about 10.
So Nathan there with a little bit of relief. Shirley, second. Take second pretty much every day, wouldn't you? Unless Australia's in front of you.
I'm not sure. This is a battle that's going to run all the way to Marseille, and you know, in many ways he feels robbed from San Francisco and wants redemption. But you know, he survived that first race, and it was not straightforward.
Well, there you have it. China is in third. France still had another lap to go, so we never picked that up on the thing. That's how they must have just sat in a hole somewhere, and they are still got to go down to the bottom. So it's China. Phil Robertson, who had a very bad San Francisco, he will admit it, up and down. He's in a bit of trouble here. He needs to make sure this boat settles down. That is very, very sketchy. They're just going to leave the hull down and just go through that finish line. That could have been another moment there, Shirley. It's just coming from everywhere. We just can't pick what's going to happen.
So easy to get out of whack, especially for the less experienced.
We need some T-shirts. We survived race one.
Yeah, and you're right, we're about to watch it all again, and we've just seen the Japanese have got a penalty against the Australians, port and starboard, so they're going to have to start one boat length behind the Australians.
And who knows, I don't know whether that's going to be a hindrance or a help in this pressure, Shirley. We just heard from Tom Slingsby. He said this is the hardest racing he has ever done. That man has sailed around the world on every single boat, so that is telling you something. These guys have got so much on.
Well, Jodie, that gust that took out the British boat was 37 knots and literally came out of nowhere. Expect the unexpected.
But we have a race unfolding right in front of us. And as you can see, Japan are wearing their penalty, so they have to wash it off once the race has started. They have to be one boat length behind, the rest of the fleet. I don't think that's going to be a problem. Rome Kirby's with his new wing trimmer. It looks like he's going to get a great start here, and they are off. Well done to Rome and the USA team there, Shirley. Great start.
Really tough for him, you know. He's got an alternate in, and you can see he's struggling already to keep the boat flying.
Straight off the start, it is Billy Besson, and then a French team leading. He'll be so happy that he's got this boat in the first position. They have struggled a fair bit, but look at the boats. They're going up, they're foiling. Within 5 meters, they're just dropping off in the lulls. They have got so much on. I don't know how good your French is there, Shirley, but I'm pretty sure you're saying...
I think he's saying there's a big puff of wind for this fairway. We can see it from this helicopter shot.
Yeah, I'm running with that as well. That's exactly what he said. So French in first. Japan, after having their penalty, they're in the second spot. So there's the lottery. It's the first reach. They've started one boat length behind everyone. Already they're in second spot, but that's going to change. We know that for a fact. China in third, Australia in fourth. USA, after leading off the start, sitting it down at dead last. We've had 3 lead changes in 1 leg already. It's insane. Australia, Japan, China, all trying to get over this right-hand side. France have jibed off in nothing, absolutely nothing. USA are coming down, and they've just had a moment. They just put the bows in. The wind is just exploding. Looks like they've actually missed the bottom gate here, Shirley. What's going on there?
I think absolutely right. Just as they were going to jibe, they got hit by that big puff of pressure. And so slightly late on the jibe coming across, but still going at good pace. Look at the Australians. 2 hulls in.
So the team that caught the penalty off the start started last. First bottom gate, they are into the gate in first position. Great race between China and Australia. France are in fourth, USA in fifth. Japan now around the bottom left-hand mark. Australia coming in super hot. This has got, look at that, so much pressure on that top of that wing. Big bear away round up there for Australia. Oh, so much happening. Yeah, 3 metres behind the France are both hulls down.
Keep it simple, keep it simple. You can see just ahead of the Japanese, going to sail into a load of pressure.
Just have a listen. We're just going to go to this chit-chat of all these boats. Listen to the amount of communication. Everyone is just full noise on their comms here.
Okay, but that's the pressure. Where's Leyline? Little press.
The best sailors in the world don't know what's going on. God help the rest of us. It's this.
Here we go. Wing slow coming up, 2-1, and big trap land.
So it's all changed now. Japan still leading. China in second, USA in third, possibly just in front of Australia once they tack off that other shore.
Push the run left on stop. Yeah.
And you can hear Nathan there just coaching them all, just always coaching them to try and keep the boat steady. Looks like China have been a nice bit of pressure off their hip there.
Jodie, there's a lot of decisions to make, and normally you can just kind of follow the playbook. But in this sort of racing, you're going to have to discuss it. You're going to have to make sure everyone knows what's going on.
Looks like there were 30, 40 degree wind shifts, 10 metres apart. So Japan tacked over. China's now tacking over. So they're setting themselves up to the top end of the course here. Japan should still be leading this race, but it's going to be very, very close if China can come over and maybe split tacks. Japan up and foiling now.
You know, Jodie, we wondered after San Francisco when China nearly capsized if Phil Robertson had lost his bottle, but he is sending it. He is relishing this type of racing here in New York City.
It's a racer's racetrack, that's for sure, because there's so much going on. Australia foiling in there beautifully. probably in about third spot. Maybe if they can nail their tack, they'll put a little bit of pressure on these two guys. Japan coming across look like a bit of speed. China looks like they're a little bit soft there, Shirley. And as you can see, they've got 15, 20, 30 metres apart.
I think a little bit of wing wash also off the Japanese, but still got plenty of pace.
Yeah, Japan's got the pressure in now. China's going to be comfortably still in second. Australia will probably not go to this left-hand mark. I'm guessing they're just going to go straight over to that right gate and then just head down and maybe pick something up along that New York City side.
2, 1, going. Yep, no wind. Big trip, big trip.
Oh, bow down there in China. They need to be very careful the top of the rig doesn't cop. That is one of those helicopter gusts like you see, because that will just literally trip them over because the bow's in the water and it just, the boat can't accelerate. And look at Australia go. They went to that right-hand gate like I thought, and they are in an absolute gale out there.
You've got to link the pressure, link the gusts.
China in no breeze at all. Australia going to jibe very, very soon, and will be smoking down into this bottom gate, just like Japan are. Look at that.
Starting a little front of it.
Jib's doing nothing.
Coming back into it now.
They're actually saying they're taking the hydraulic pressure or the hydraulic operation out of the jib trim because they're overheating their pumps too much. So they're just going to set their jibs up the way they wanted for a gust and then do the rest of the pumps. China around now. Oh, bows in, bow, very careful, up and down. This is where they've got to try and not overreact. It's very easy for Luke Parkinson there in the flight control to overcorrect and try and bring the boat down. He just needs the foils to do it themselves. Nathan's lost his goggles there, so he's obviously got a big bit of water smacking him in the face. Australia in a massive amount of breeze there. Look at the amount of wing twist they're carrying there, Shirley. 45 degrees they can carry from the bottom to the top. I reckon they're carrying the whole lot. Oh!
Split sides though, Jody, they have split sides, so tactically it is all on between first and second here. Who is going to get the pressure to get to that top mark?
And you can see just behind Australia that big line of wind that Australia came down and had that pretty hairy moment as they went up and around, but now they're struggling the foil, so they're back in one of those real light patches. Still heading over to the left-hand side, so as you said, Shirley, massive split here between the two. Remember, this is only the second upwind. There's still a fair bit of racing to go yet. Japan look all right off the New York side, that's for sure, at this stage.
You could see Sam Newton, the grinder on the Australian boat, gasping for air. They have never worked so hard. They're making so many adjustments to that wing sheet. They are just constantly grinding.
I think they'll have to replace them pumps tonight. They'll put brand new pumps in there because these things will be dead set worn out by the time we've had 3 races here in New York. So here we are on board with Japan, just going through the tack now. So they possibly should set themselves up here for the top end of the course. And they're going to come across and look at Nathan there, just checking out to see where the Australians were. Nice close race here between China, France and USA. Looks like they're going over to the left-hand side of the course, Shirley.
What a race this is turning out to be for third spot. This will run and run. Phil Robertson, the Chinese team, had the most amount of practice here and definitely working on the communication between the flight controller, the wing trimmer and the helm, and I think that's paying real dividends today.
And that shot there off the helicopter just shows an unbelievably great example of how much wind, no wind, wind, no wind, wind, no wind there is in this course. There is so many dark lines and then so many no patches of breeze that these guys, like you said before, have to try and link all the breeze up, and it's just choosing impossible, finding them impossible.
We've seen a lot of the Manhattan skyline, but the other side, the side where we're filming from, is New Jersey, and the buildings there, they're not to be sniffed at, are they? Some of them are nearly 300 meters, really affecting, shadowing and funneling the breeze that are hitting the bows.
We might just listen to Japan here on the onboard because they sound like they're a little bit sketchy about this job coming in.
You're working hard. This is second top mark.
Would be nice.
The Squeeze your mark, Slinger, when you can. Yeah, copy.
We're actually on board with Australia there, so
Real good pressure on the mark.
Yeah, just gonna lay it, trim us up.
you can hear Kyle Langford trying to keep the calmness in the boat as well, so everyone doesn't get too overinflated, too excited about what they're trying to achieve here.
Kyle Langford, the wing trimmer, he's 100% responsible for the performance. So he'll be calling the modes and the adjustments, even the steering, just coordinating the three people who are essentially in charge of the pace of this boat.
But have a look at that. They look like they're in about 4 knots of breeze. They're just getting up and foiling. Need about 6 to 8 knots of breeze to foil. Yet Japan now probably 2/3 of the way down to the bottom mark, and they're sailing off. Look at China. They went around in pretty good spot. They're very close, all these three boats. China's in no breeze. France is in the middle, of course. They've got wind now. USA, who are currently coming last, if they can tack off that shore, they can pull 3 spots. Just like that. It is just such a snakes and ladders.
You can't get frustrated, though. You have to just take a deep breath and wait for whatever hits you. You cannot get stressed about this.
And it looks like USA tacked in a real big header, so they went around, literally sat it down, and they're only just starting to get the boat moved now. Billy Besson and his French team have done the same thing. They are tacking, and they're wound it up pretty quick. Looks like they might be able to get it up and go foiling. But it is Japan who have got down at the bottom mark for the final time in this race. They've just got one more upwind to do, and then into the finish. But I'm not going to call them as the winner yet, because who knows what's going to unfold in the next couple of minutes. Look at the breeze they're in.
Nathan Outridge is throwing that boat around. I mean, he seems more confident with it in this race. He's found his feet.
Just going all the way up the shore. Yep.
Australia are catching up, but they're coming back. The rivalry is continuing. How does it always work out that these pair of boats always seem to be right next to each other? It is incredible.
This will run and run. I mean, they're such high quality on all boat. There is not a weak link anywhere.
One down. Really good breeze out.
And you see there, Tom just really turns the boat pretty hard to get that thing around. Japan look like they've picked up a little bit of a left-hand shift in the middle of the course, which is going to take them straight up towards the marks where they really would be hoping can get to as quick as they can, because they don't want to see that green boat with that beautiful kangaroo on it.
He's looking, Jody. He's looking behind.
He's worried.
He knows exactly where the Australians are.
Yeah, he's definitely worried, as you should be, because you can sit down, and you just heard Nathan there that the Aussies just sat down as well. We might just listen in to see what their train of thought is here.
2, 1, big forward angle. Yours.
Look at the Aussies, Jody, 4 knots of boat speed. As you said, they need 15, 16 to get up on the wheels.
So Japan got through that little patch. They are just foiling, putting some serious meters in their Australian arrivals at this stage. Australia aren't careful. China could come and steal second spot. Anything is possible at this stage.